So even if Cars 3 was like, say, better than Toy Story even, the fact that a Cars 3 exists before an Incredibles 2 exists just proves right there that Hollywood is crazy. So Pixar's second threequel has come out, which is Cars 3, which I saw today. It's not directed by John Lasseter this time, it's directed by another guy whose name I can't remember. But once again, it's starring Owen Wilson as Lightning McQueen, and other voices who are probably well known, whose names I don't know off the top of my head, but it's mainly Lightning McQueen's story anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Or, I'm actually going to call it what Cars 2 should have been, because if they wanted to just pretend that Cars 2 didn't exist and just put this title as Cars 2 instead of Cars 3, it would have worked just as well, and personally I think much better than the current Cars 2. So this one picks up Lightning McQueen. They're kind of going for the same kind of story when, he's older, he's a veteran, new, younger rookie racers are coming in, and he's racing, and he just doesn't have the same steam and speed like he used to have. And after a certain tragedy, which you see that took place in the trailer, he goes off to train more and get better so he can come back and race and win one last time so he doesn't become, just known as the guy who quit. So I'll be perfectly honest, I was not that excited to see Cars 3. I enjoy the first Cars, but it's definitely one of my lesser favorite Pixar movies. Cars 2, I'm preaching to the choir here, but that is universally known as Pixar's worst, and I agree with that. So Cars 3, I was just like, eh. I still went to see it because, like I said, it's Pixar, and I was thinking, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't know. I went in to find out. And there was definitely a wave of mixed emotions that happened as I watched this movie. So for the first, maybe half hour or so, you see Lightning McQueen racing and doing all this stuff, and you have these rookies coming in and he's racing. Then the tragedy that happened, the trailer happens, he gets beat up, and he has to go, fix himself up. That, I kind of liked, because it felt like a throwback to the first. It felt like the beginning of a Cars sequel that could have or should have been Cars 2. And, there was something emotional about when, he was crashing and falling all over the course like he did. But then when he actually goes to train and do stuff for like a half hour, I found myself to be very, very bored. I was sitting in the theater just and thinking, I really don't care about this at all. At that point in the film, my unfortunate suspicions were in fact coming true. But then about maybe the 45-minute, 50-minute mark, something happens that you're like, oh, well that'd be an interesting route to take. That I'd be interested. That could make for an interesting ending to the Cars franchise, maybe. So I'm at least kind of curious to see what they're going to do with it. Then in the climax, believe it or not, something happens that genuinely surprised me. And to my complete surprise, I felt that Cars 3 actually pulled a Pixar. And when I mean pull a Pixar, I mean do that thing near the end of the film where it gets really emotional and might surprise you a little bit. I'm not saying it's super tear-worthy like the end of Up or the end of Inside Out, but something happens that I was like, okay, I didn't know they were actually going to do that. And when they did it, I was really getting into it, and I felt that Pixar-y feeling that I used to get when they were all amazing, all original, and whatnot. So at the end of the day, guys, I definitely left Cars 3 pleasantly surprised. I really was not expecting much. Like I said, during that portion in the middle, I wasn't really feeling it. Like I said, this one, it felt more like a Cars movie. It wasn't a spy movie, and thanks be to God it wasn't about Mater. I'm pretty sure the filmmakers took that as a hint, because Mater wasn't actually in this film all that much. I think they were kind of like how George Lucas was between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Kind of how Jar Jar was in a lot of the first one, but hardly any of the second. That's kind of what I felt they did with Cars 2 to Cars 3. It is another thing about the Cars franchise. I never found it exceedingly funny. Most of the really great Pixar movies have at least one moment that's gut-buster worthy. So is Cars 3 a great movie? I don't think it's a great movie, but I would say it is a pretty good movie. If you enjoy the first Cars, if you enjoy Pixar movies, I would suggest going to see it. The beginning was kind of nostalgic. The ending was surprisingly touching and exciting and interesting. There was definitely that half hour in between where I really did not give a frick about what was going on, so that kind of brought it down for me. But like I said, I wasn't expecting much. I was pleasantly surprised. At that point I was thinking, okay, this might be C+ material. But the ending boosted it back up, so I'm going to give Cars 3 a B-. Guys, thank you so much for watching as usual. Please check out some of my other videos, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please click on any of my other videos on my channel right now. But you know what you should do? You should click here to subscribe to my channel so you get updates for when I actually put out the new videos. And if you want to comment below and let me know what you think, please do. I always love hearing from you guys and knowing what your thoughts are on the matter.